Even despite the massive scope of the energy crisis facing Europe right now, Germany is still moving forward with plans to shut down its last 3 nuclear power plants. Simply put, folks, the German Green Party is freaking crazy because the Green Party has turned into a religious cult where adherence to doctrine trumps anything, including science, math, and basic human decency. What's up, guys? I'm nobody special. And one of my first experiences when I started my career in nuclear power was in 2008 when I went to a meeting at the Ocean County Library hosted by the League of Women Voters. And there they had assembled a panel of experts on nuclear energy that consisted of Alec Baldwin, the actor, Christy Brinkley, the former supermodel, and a lawyer named Richard Webster. That was their panel of experts on nuclear power, an actor, a model, and a lawyer. There was 36 engineers who worked in nuclear power in attendance at that meeting. Nobody cared what they had to say. Everybody showed up to listen to the insane ramblings of people who had no idea what the heck they were talking about, but they were afraid because radiation is scary and nuclear is scary. And I learned an important lesson that day. Anti-nuclear activists are freaking crazy. And these are the people who have been dictating energy policy to the whole world for really the last 20 years. Frightened, imbecilic children are in charge of energy policy, and we're all paying the price for it, folks. And now fast forward to today, and it's time to shrink my big melon of a head. And here we go, folks. In Reuters, just dated August 21st, German economy minister rules out keeping nuclear plants running to save gas. German economy minister Robert Habeck ruled out on Sunday, extending the lifespan of the country's 3 remaining nuclear power plants, saying it would save at most 2% of gas use. These savings were not sufficient to be worth reopening the debate about the exit from nuclear energy given the consensus on the topic, he said during a discussion with citizens at the government's Open Door Day. Robert Habeck, who is the head of the Green Party in Germany, and he's now their economy minister, which, by the way, putting the head of the Green Party in charge of your economy, it's kind of like putting Charlie Sheen in charge of your pharmacy, but I digress. He's saying here that the savings will be only 2% of natural gas use and that it's not worth reopening the debate. Well, let's do a little bit of math, shall we? The last 3 operating nuclear reactors in Germany combined generate about 4,283 megawatts of power. Now, if you multiply 4,283 megawatts times 24 hours a day times 365 days a year, and then you apply a 90% capacity factor, which is about the average capacity factor that nuclear operates, you end up with 33.8 million megawatt hours of electricity generated in 1 year from those 3 nuclear reactors. Well, it's hard to keep track, but right now, forward German electricity prices are trading somewhere around 500 euros per megawatt hour. So if you multiply that 33.8 million megawatt hours times 500 euros per megawatt hour forward German energy prices, you're looking at just under $17 billion worth of electricity that those 3 reactors alone will produce over the next year. Now, Robert Habeck says that's not even worth reopening the debate about keeping those nuclear plants open. I don't know what the price of reopening a debate is in Europe, but here in the United States, it's a whole hell of a lot less than 17 billion euros, which right now the euro is at about parity with the dollar. So $17 billion to reopen the debate. And remember, we're not talking about spending anything right now. These plants are already built. All you have to do is not turn them off. $17 billion worth of electricity could come out of those plants, but it's not worth reopening the debate, according to the green cult that is in charge of energy policy in Europe. Now, the other half of Robert Habeck's ridiculous statement about keeping those plants open was that it would only save about 2% of natural gas use. Well, let's look at the numbers again. We already established that these 3 reactors will produce 33.8 million megawatt hours of electricity over the course of the next year. And right now in Europe, it takes about 7,000 cubic feet of natural gas to produce 1 megawatt hour of electricity. So 33.8 million megawatt hours times 7,000 cubic feet per megawatt hour, that means these 3 reactors will save 236.4 billion cubic feet of natural gas over the next year. Now, the whole country of Germany uses about 8.6 billion cubic feet per day. In other words, the electricity generated by these 3 reactors will displace enough natural gas to power the whole country for 27 and a half days. That's actually about 7.5% of the natural gas that Germany uses in a year. That's nearly 4 times the 2% Robert Habeck claims it will save. But you know what? These radical Greens that are in charge of energy policy never let paltry details like economics or math or science get in the way of their religious-like dedication to green doctrine. Now, under normal circumstances, I could laugh at just how ridiculous these statements coming out of people like Robert Habeck are, but right now Europe is facing some real pain this winter. You're talking about things like mandatory cold showers, shutting off the heat in people's apartments, entire industries shutting down, people losing their business, people going bankrupt over their utility bills, people having to make decisions between food and electricity or food and heat. And meanwhile, people like Robert Habeck, people who have no intention of skipping a meal or ever taking a cold shower, they are going to force the closure of 3 perfectly good operational nuclear reactors because radical Greens don't care about math, they don't care about science, and they sure as heck don't care about you. All they care about is their unquestioning devotion to their green agenda. The Green Party in Germany has turned into a cult, and they're trying to force the whole world to drink the Kool-Aid. If you want to know a little bit more about just how ridiculous things have gotten, you can check out this video I did about the phony energy transition that we hear so much about in the press. Until next time, live small and dream big.